Okay, number 17. Does a designated hitter help? Okay, in baseball, so you have to read this if you don't know what a DH is. The American League allows a designated hitcher to bat for the pitcher, who is typically a weak hitter. Okay. In the National League, the pitcher must bat. The common belief is that this results in American League teams scoring more runs. In interleague play, when an American team visits a National League, the American League pitcher must bat. So if the DH does result in more runs, we would expect that American League teams will score fewer runs when visiting National League parks because the pitchers are batting instead of the designated hitters. To test this claim, a random sample of runs scored by American League teams without their DH is given in the following table and with their DH in the table on the following page. Well, I have the summary results right here. Does the DH result in more runs scored? Well, first of all, hypothesis test or confidence interval. And since we're trying to find out does the DH result in more runs scored, that's going to be a hypothesis test. I've got two sample because I've got American League and National League average run scored, and we're talking means because average run scored. Okay, so where does it say what test we're going to do? Does the DH result in more runs scored? So if I let mu1 equal the average runs scored by an American League team. Whoops, sorry, got interrupted there. Average runs scored by an American League team in National League parks, right? Because that's when they don't have their designated hitter running. And mu2 are games when they with their DH. So this is the average runs scored by American League team with their DH. Sorry, I didn't write this without DH. Okay, so I don't think I did a very good job of getting my point across here. So let me restate this. American League teams have the designated hitter when they play in American League ballparks. When they play in National League ballparks, they don't have their designated hitter and the pitcher hits. And so we want to know, do they score more runs with the designated hitter than without? So they took a sample of games scored in or played in National League parks where there's no designated hitter, and they took a sample of games where they were played in American League parks with the designated hitter, and we're going to compare them. So H0 would be, we think the runs are equal. HA, the claim is, do more runs scored, or more runs scored when there is a DH. So is mu2 greater than mu1? Okay, so makes sense what we got here? This is average runs scored with the DH, and this is without the designated hitter. So the pitchers are pitching. Okay, so conditions. Let's see. Both have must be random samples. And n has to be bigger than 30. So now I can see how many games did we take to test this claim. A random sample runs scored with their DH is given on the following page. Oh, and I don't have that list, so I don't know how many games we took. So I'm going to have you guys can check it out in your book, which you probably did already. So I have to check and see N1 and N2 are greater than 30. or if not, the distribution of the population distribution or distribution of runs scored. So the population distribution of runs scored is normal, or the samples are normal or approximately normal. Okay, so we'd have to look at the samples. I'm sorry, I don't have this here. I believe if we do that, if we look at the data, we'll see that the samples are approximately normal. Not exactly, because I just have a finite set of them, but approximately normal. Okay, so if we got all those, we're good to go. All right, so then my last thing is I got to do the test. So I'm going to do a 2-sample t-test. T-test. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Stat. Calc 2-sample t-test is right there. So let's see, what's my data? It's right here, all up here. And I know that the ones were without a DH, so that's going to be in a American League Park. So I need to make sure I remember this. This is X1 bar, and this is X2 bar. That's, oops, I did it backwards. Sorry. With the DH is in the American League Parks, without the DH is in the National League Parks, which is 1. So no DH, National League Parks. Okay, so we get here and we go X1 is 4.3. That's why it's so important to identify these and so easy to mess it up. And S 2.6. And 1. I'm going to have to look and see what our sample size is now, because I don't know what that is. X2 is 6.0, 3.5, and look at sample size. So I'm just going to look this up. So I'll be back. All right, as you already knew, the sample size is 30 for each of them. That's really nice to know when we're actually doing this in real life. And we've got mu1 and mu2 is bigger than mu1. So here I've got mu1 is less than mu2. Okay. All right, because I'm going to say this. I should have written this. I know I wrote it like this before. I made a lot of little mistakes on this. I apologize. Hope it makes sense. So these two are the same. Mu1, mu2 is bigger than mu1, which means mu1 is less than mu2. Okay, so we're good here. I'm going to do that. Actually, I can do that now. Okay, so I've got that. Go down. No pooled. It's never pooled for this. Calculate. T is negative 2.14. Standard deviations below. And the p-value is 1.9%. Okay, from here, then I can say since 1.9% is less than 5%, I have evidence that mu1 is less than mu2. Really nice, since I told you what they were up there. Okay, so this is evidence that the average runs scored by an American League team with the DH is more than without the DH. So the DH, apparently, we have evidence that the DH contributes to more runs scored. There we go.